By nature, we spend more time on the physical. We spend more time primping and prodding and poking and cutting and looking and adorning and dressing and teasing and flavoring and sensazing and shooing and panting and everything else we do to the exterior. But we're not models. We're actors. And acting's an inside job. It has to start on the inside. If it doesn't start on the inside, then we're not doing it right. You're caught acting. And even though we're called actors, what we do is not act. Because when we act, we're getting it wrong. It's when we are is when we're getting it right. And the way to the are is through the behavior. And that's the key to film acting. Film acting is about behavior, not performance, not being, not trusting that it's going to be there for you on the outside, but it has to come from within. And what happens when it's not there, it's like, I'm not feeling anything. I'm not experiencing anything. Do something. And then we do something. And now you're acting. And if you do something too much, then you wind up performing. And if you really enjoy performing, now we got to get you off that crack. Because you're feeding on something that is not producing the type of result that you want. You're not creating. Your inner artist isn't alive. It's that simple. You've got to keep that inner artist alive with creating. And continuing to create and create and create, because creation begets itself. You know, you can look and go, wow, how does that, how does that person do that? Like, how does Tiger Woods get out there and swing that golf club and make it look like nothing because of the 10,000 swings he does every week or whatever his regimen is, again and again and again, that it builds upon itself and builds upon itself and builds upon itself. How does that happen? By the layering and the layering and the layering and the layering of keeping your inner artist alive and not stuck in the humdrum. Now, who's the adversary to this? Who's your antagonist? Your antagonist is survival. Your day-to-day survival of having to do the things that it takes for you to maintain your life. From getting up in the morning to putting, hopefully, nutrients into your body, liquids in your body, to taking care of your laundry, to keeping your place clean, to making money, to pay for your life, to handle your bills, and then doing all the things that are necessary when everything doesn't go right, to putting out the fires and solving the problems and dealing with the issues. What's helping me? Is my creative inner genius really doing anything for me? Well, then I can't give that creative genius that much space. When you have to stop and think, wait a second, I need to feed that creative genius so that creative genius can then get on out there and start producing more income for me to help me with the survival thing. And that's ultimately what most people are aspiring towards, to be paid to exercise their art form, to do their craft, in this case acting, to be paid to act, so that you're not having to do survival jobs and survival things. You get to be paid for what it is that you want and aspire to do. It's all about creation, and when we create, we're that much closer to the source of ultimate power. And the more that you get into creation, the more pure, the more clean the stream flows, the more vibrant everything is. The more you get away from creation, think about it. Think about the person in your life that's the most sedentary, shut down, depressed, tough to be around. Now, I want you to think about that person who is completely on the other end. And it may be you, and either one of these people may be you. But that person that's constantly doing things, doesn't go down the same street twice, changing up everything all the time. Every time you see them, they're involved in something else. They probably don't even have a television in their living room. Whatever. Or it's not on all the time. They're creating, they're doing things, they're constructing, they're active, they're busy, they're alive. What kind of energy, what kind of dynamic is going on around that person? Look at that. Where do you see that person? Okay? Picture that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to infect that. We're going to infect that into you. And get that inner creative genius going and break up every bit of humdrum that you got going on. and give you reasons to really live your life. To that little voice right now, in closing this thing out, to that little voice inside you that's going, well, I'm not that person. Well, I'm not creative. Well, nobody in my family really is like that. That's just not me. I've tried this before. I can't. That's who I'm talking to right now. That's a lie. It is a lie. Because when you got popped out of your mama and you were laying there doing all this and all the adults were coming over going, ooh, look how cute, and you were looking at them back and you were making all this, guess what? You had no problem with it back then. You didn't. You didn't. You learned how to not. And if you can learn how to not, you can learn how to. And if you are artistic, and you are one of those people that just, changes your clothes up all the time and is always working on something else and all that, let's ramp it up and take it to the next level. And stimulate that inner artist genius. And I want you to address that artist genius as your inner genius. And know that that inner genius is a genius. And that genius needs to be nurtured, needs to be fed, needs to be edified, needs to be let out, and that inner genius needs to become the fullness of who that inner genius really is. And you all have one. Whenever I do these type of exercises, crazy things go on. People meet people. They wind up getting into situations, business deals, companies start, partnerships are established. All crazy things go on. Really cool things happen because you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're living your life. We're not those people that go to college for 4 years, meet our college sweetheart, buy our starter house, get the business going, have the baby, move to the next house, have the next kid, move to the next house, be an established member of the community, and then, go to the Rotary Club and then bingo games and then flip and die. There are people that do that, and I'm not mocking them or making fun. It's just a life choice. But we don't do that as actors. As actors, we've got to be that person that you want to watch, that you're going to pay money to watch because you're interesting. And why are you interesting? Because there's an energy dynamic that's coming off of you. You got to get into it. And that's part of what the training is here, getting you into that space. Okay? So get after it, stumble over it. We'll talk about it next week, and then we're going to take it to the next level.